Another episode of Around the World, Ger, where we take a look at some of the quirky or different stories from the sporting world that we might have missed across the last week or two. And they're always a little bit interesting and things that we mightn't otherwise get the chance to talk about. So this week I wanted to start in the United States of America. The Masters is coming up, a few months, but still. One golfer who didn't quite get his invite, but then inadvertently did get his invite, is Scott Stallings. So Scott Stallings, for people who are unaware, there's a very formal process when you play the Masters. You get your invite set in the post. I saw Seamus Power, I think, over the Christmas period, sharing a nice image on his social medias with the invite in the post, which is a lovely way to do it.
Great way to start the year. It looks like they've spent time, money coming up with this idea. It's the Augusta green. Yeah, the logo's on it. It's a very formal, stiff,
rigorous process that can't go wrong.
White middle-aged male idea of this is going to look impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%.
It looks impressive.
Gets the players excited. But turns out the process can go wrong. So Scott Stallings, for those of you unaware, 37-year-old, 3-time PGA Tour winner. He posted the message on his social media page the other day. He'd been waiting, and he was pointing out the fact that he'd been checking his mailbox 5 times a day, not least because he's probably seeing other golfers getting their letter in the mail.
I think he's only played once in the Masters, if I'm correct, before, and that's way back in 2012. So obviously this is the type of thing that, it's a big, big deal.
Yeah. He's obviously waiting for the post, whereas the likes of Tiger Woods and these guys are maybe not sitting beside the mailbox quite like Scott Stallings is. But he posted a message from a namesake on his social media account. We have a few photos of these images as well. So, hi Scott, my name is Scott Stallings as well, and I'm from Georgia. My wife's name is Jennifer too.
He slid into his DMs.
Basically. We have a condo at, clearly that's redacted, and I received a FedEx today from the Masters inviting me to play in the Masters tournament April 6th, 9th, 2023. I'm 100% sure this is not for me. I play, but wow, nowhere near your level. It's a very nice package, complete with everything needed to attend. I think we have some confusion because of our names, our wife's names and geographical location. I can be reached at, redacted, and I'm more than happy to send this package to you, which is fair enough. Because clearly, and there's another photo of he DM'd him again with a couple of photos. I'm really not kidding, I promise. Just in case Scott Stallings thought that there was no proof. That was the proof. There's the two lads side by side. Unsurprisingly, the guy on the right is the PGA Tour golfer, Scott Stallings, and the guy on the left is another Scott Stallings who also has a wife called Jennifer and also geographically fairly close by.
He's played twice, 2012 and 2014. I don't know if you've seen Phantom of the Open, that movie.
Haven't seen it yet, no.
It's actually it's a very nice, diverting movie, but not a million miles away from this, where somebody decides that they're just going to try and play in the British Open, and they end up playing in the British Open, even though plays off about 125.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth digging out. If it's on, make sure you watch it. But
that's a recent film. Recent day.
2021, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how long do you think Scott Stallings sat there, the doppelganger, and was like, what if I just show up? I mean, I have the invite. How many holes does he get in before everybody's like, hang on a second?
There's no doubt he weighed this up in his head.
How far, at least play the par 3 tournament the day before?
But you see, Scott Stallings, the real one, well, the real golfer, they're both real human beings, would have eventually got on to Augusta and been
like, would, yeah. So what's the story? And like, oh, we've invited you. And like, no. And then you just
show up.
You try and avoid, like you get there a bit early.
Wearing your golf gear.
Yeah.
Bring a caddy, a mate
practice
as a caddy.
A bit.
Yeah. But you see, I feel like going viral, and this is the point. It has gone viral. So the tweet, as of yesterday, had been viewed more than 10 million times on Twitter. Many of the replies.
Oh, he's gonna be on the PIP, whatever that. What's the money thing that they get for you for being famous? Scott Stallings is all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He owes the other Scott Stallings a load of money now.
100%.
I'd totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, he's getting his 15 minutes, and he's also increasing the name recognition. For
what's that money? What's that extra money they give you just for being famous?
Oh,
in the golf tournament,
we wouldn't know, but I don't know. But like, I think Scott Stallings, the non-golfer, probably thought, okay, I'm not going to get away with this, but what will the real Scott Stallings give me? Would he, like some people on social media are calling for him to invite him to be his guest at the Masters. Some people are going a step further and saying, let him be your caddy. Don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let him be the caddy for the par 3 was what...
Sorry, well, fair enough.
Which obviously is like... Yeah, no problem.
Which makes sense. But it's the realtor took the invitation. He's a realtor, this non-golfer, Scott Stallings.
So the bit where he plays, he's just a club hacker.
Yeah, he's just a regular Joe Soap around the course. But he took it to a local shipping store, mailed it to its rightful recipient. Somehow got the address or whatever. But like Scott Stallings, the golfer, he's not bad. He's 54th in the world. He's ranked. His last PGA Tour win did come in 2014 at the Farmers Insurance Open. But yeah, April 6th to April 9th. We look forward to it with interest. And all of a sudden, Scott Stallings, the PGA Tour golfer, is someone we might follow. Because what a story. You mentioned the movie from 2021. Scott Stallings goes on to win this Masters. What a start to the movie.
Yeah.
The letter in the post.
The player impact program is the PIP, where they measure your social media impact that you've had across the year, and you get money at the end. It's basically they invented it to give more money to the top players in the world who were pissed off about the fact that they don't get enough money, which is why Live exists in the first place, because there's room for somebody to break the monopoly that the PGA Tour have over the careers of the golfers. And PIP was a way for them to go, yeah, we accept that this relationship is very uneven. You create all of the excitement and publicity, and we make all the money, or certainly the vast majority of the money. And so maybe Scott Stallings is going to make a lot of money off this.
100%.
It's like,
all of a sudden people are typing his name into Google and search engines.
Is this all, are we now so cynical that this whole thing is faked?
Oh,
there you go.
Conspiracy right there from left field.
Split the money.
Maybe we'll try and get Scott Stallings on. Both of them.
The fake.
Well, the fake or the real. We'll get both of them on. But yeah, I'm certainly. I hope Rory McIlroy wins the Masters and completes that major clean sweep. Of course, I'll be following the other Irish players involved as well. But if they don't do it, Scott Stallings is my new favourite man to do it, because the movie's going to be fantastic. I don't know who he looks like. I don't know who would play him in the movie necessarily. But yeah, of course, if he gets... Well, there he is on the right-hand side. He kind of looks a little bit like Bradley Cooper, maybe. I don't know who plays the guy on the left. Tom Hanks can pull off the grey hair. He's done it in Sully, so maybe it's Tom Hanks and Bradley Cooper. We'll wait and see. But I'm getting ahead of myself slightly.
Scott Stallings is like, hey, you said I look like Bradley Cooper. you can come and be my caddy at the Masters.
Yeah, 100%. Doesn't look like Daniel Craig though. But we'll move on from that one. That was where I wanted to start off with, because it's a little quirky story and something a little bit different this week in the United States of America. I want to go to Spain next for our next Around the World segment. Paying your own transfer fee. There's Lucas Perez, the man on screen. So he's reportedly paid some of his own fee to return to his beloved Deportivo La Coruña. So he's 37 years of age. He's signed from the La Liga side Cadiz. He's made just 31 appearances for them. It's now the fourth spell he's going to have had at Deportivo La Coruña. We all remember Deportivo's games against Shelburne back in the day. They're not the team they used to be. They're in the third tier of Spanish football at the moment. There was a valuation set for Perez of €500,000. Arsenal fans will be familiar with Lucas Perez because he was a bit of an Arsenal flop. Didn't quite work out for him there. He's a veteran striker, but he has signed for Deportivo on a 1.5 year deal in a bid to help them rise back to La Liga. So this is a lovely romantic story where he comes back when they're in the third tier and they're like, we can't afford you, and he's like, don't worry about it, I'll pay some of my own transfer fee. Here's €250,000, buy me, you pay the other half, I'll pay this half, and take me to the club. They also posted a lovely touching video as well. He joined the club and the caption read, today at 7 the boy returns home. A lot of Deportivo fans crying in the comments as well. He himself tweeted as well to the Cadiz fans, wishing them all the best.
Is your cynical heart so broken that this is not a nice, touching, romantic story? What's wrong with you?
No, I'm sorry. I'm probably being a touch sarcastic there. But I mean, anyone watching here, would you pay your own transfer fee for a club to sign you?
Unlikely, but like...
Depending how rich you were, of course, it's all relative.
I do wonder how much of a dent this is making in his personal fortune, but...
Yeah.
Is this not like one of the rare bits where someone proves that they actually do just love the game and love the club and, you know?
This is one of the rare examples where you're being non-cynical and I'm...
Compare and contrast with some of the other big transfer signings this week for like the richest footballer in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And he newly fetching up in South Africa, he told everybody in his press conference.
CR7, yeah. Yeah, that was a bit strange.
I had offers to go back to Portugal, but I said no.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and rescue Lisbon Sporting and, return to them the knowledge I stole from Doom but couldn't use.
Well, Ronaldo's always gone on about this romantic idea of going back and helping out his home club. I love the idea of a footballer at the end of their career going out to help their old club, or some of the Irish players who started off in the League of Ireland. Like, I'd love to see Seamus Coleman come back and put in a couple of years with Sligo Rovers or even Finn Harps. It might not happen, but I like to see players do it when they still have a level of ability that can actually help the club. Because there's no point a washed up player coming back. But I mean, he's not washed up just yet, Lucas Perez. He did play 3 seasons in England, as I said. Scored just 7 goals for Arsenal, 6 for West Ham. So West Ham fans will be familiar with him as well. But he's a bit of a journeyman. He's played in Spain, England, Greece and Ukraine for a variety of clubs. But would you pay your own transfer fee? I mean, it's a question that Lucas Perez has forced us to ask this week. I mean, if Monaghan United had a team, and I had
you would pay to play?
Yeah, if I had a certain amount of money, and Monaghan did have financial difficulties, hence why they do no longer exist as a League of Ireland entity. I think I would. I think I would if I was of a certain wealth. So that was a nice story, I thought, from Spain this week on Around the World. We'll move on next in Around the World this week to Santos, Brazil. Gianni Infantino, the guy everyone loves to hate at the moment, appeared on screen throughout the World Cup, usually about 60 seconds into every single match, sitting in his seat. FIFA asking every single country in the world to name a stadium after Pelé. So of course Pelé very sadly passing away on December 29th, aged 82, after his battle with colon cancer. And then Gianni Infantino speaking in Santos around Pelé's wake, saying, we are here to pay homage to him, and we are talking with all the federations to observe a moment of silence for Pelé, but we are also asking and talking to every country in the world about having a football stadium named after Pelé. In 50 or 100 years, when a child asks who was Pelé, then we will be able to remember him. This would be fairly unprecedented. I think a lot of people, when they saw this news, Chair, were like, I mean, Pelé was fantastic, and there's no doubt we want him to be remembered and his legacy to continue, so young people of generations future can look back and see videos and remember the type of player that he was and how great he was. But I mean, naming a stadium in every country in the world after him seems a bit of a stretch. Rio de Janeiro, in fact, scrapped plans to name the Maracanã after Pelé. This was in April 2021. It was vetoed by the state governor. So they didn't even do it for the most famous stadium in Brazil. Maybe now, posthumously, they might consider it.
I think the Maracanã is so amazing and important, and it's like such a. So I wouldn't change the name of the.
Keep its name.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily name a stand everywhere. This isn't the shittest idea.
Every country in the world, Jim.
The bar is low for the shit ideas that Gianni Infantino has inflicted or tried to inflict on world football. But like, with all due respect, right? Where are you from?
Monaghan Town, County Monaghan.
What's the name of the football pitch, the football stadium in Clones? Soccer one.
Yeah, well, I did play there quite recently. It's John Delaney Park.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, like, you see that people can do this.
Yeah, but that's laughable that it's named John Delaney Park.
But they should rename it Pelé Park.
Yeah, but that's okay. So a football stadium? No, it's not a football stadium. It's a football facility with lots of nice pitches, and Clonus Town play their matches there. But it's not. I had in my head like the Pelé Showgrounds over in Sligo, or Pelé Terryland Park, or the Pelé Turner's Cross, or something to that effect. I think that's what Gianni Infantino wants. There's no point naming a tiny little pitch. I like the idea of taking John Delaney's name maybe off it and replacing with Pelé in Clonus. Makes sense. But and if anyone in Clonus is watching, let's make that happen. But no, I'm not having that. It has to be. I feel like Gianni Infantino wanted it to be big stadiums.
Yeah, well,
surely.
You know, the new Daily Mount. What are you going to call that? The new Daily Mount.
The Pelé Mount. Yeah, you could do anything with it. But I just think there's too much there. To name a stadium in every country, maybe every country can mark him in their own little ways.
Bowes could get a new Pelé jersey.
Good. Well,
that'd be a good seller.
If anyone from Bowes is watching, let's make that happen with OTB Sports, a sponsor. Yeah, I don't know. Like, we have a couple of photos from the wake itself where Infantino was infamously pictured. Just out of shot there in the foreground is Pelé's body in the open casket. And it just is a bit strange. There he is, smiling, talking to Pelé's crying widow. Just a little bit weird. Now, I know photographs only capture a moment in time, and yes, granted.
Well, the selfies are kind of, that's
it's a bit strange.
It does seem a little bit disrespectful.
Yeah.
A little bit like.
Infantino said he was dismayed by the criticism. He said, I was asked by Pelé's family and ex-teammates to take the photographs. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, just politely say, I'll take the photo outside if you want.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a photograph with you, just not with the body.
Pele's body lying over there. So yeah, it's a bit strange.
Now, at the same time, right? Dead people are dead. You can't.
There is that argument.
They're not going to be.
It's more for the people that are alive that are left. I don't think Pele cares anymore. But the other story that kind of struck me from Santos, from that Brazilian element, was that there's a lot of criticism for ex-Brazil players at not showing up for Pele's commemoration and funeral in Sao Paulo. Kaká, a number of months back, saying Brazilians aren't good at commemorating and remembering greats. Kaká didn't show up for the funeral in Sao Paulo, so he's getting a lot of hate and criticism. I don't think any member of the 2002 World Cup squad from Brazil showed up to Pele's funeral. I think maybe one member of the 94 team showed up. There was one of his teammates, I think, from 1970. A number of them, of course, are old at this point, but there was a serious lack of turnout. Look, you can read into that what you will, but it all seemed a bit strange, and maybe they don't have the same culture around death as we do.
Well, Ayrton Senna had 3 million at his funeral. It was far fewer at Pele's. I guess it's just because Pele had been ill for a long period of time. People were used to it, and Senna was such a shock.
Yeah, so that's the Pele story. So that was Sao Paulo. We'll move on in around the world to Cleveland, USA. Donovan Mitchell, man familiar to a lot of Irish fans who watched the NBA. He had the best game of his career. There he is on screen, and he set the best game of his career to overtime with an incredible play, a little too incredible, say the NBA. So he had a bit of a desperation basket to force overtime. He intentionally missed a free throw to extend what did become his 71-point effort for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had a 145-134 win over the Chicago Bulls, and apparently it shouldn't have counted. So the NBA said afterwards he stepped over the plane of the free throw line before the ball touched the basket ring, so he purposely missed the free throw to catch the rebound, score the three-pointer, take the game to overtime. But players shooting a free throw cannot go over, of course, that foul until the ball reaches the basket cylinder. Violation. Chicago should have been given possession with 4.7 seconds left, and the Bulls were leading at that point by 2 points, 130-128. I mean, they all knew it was a violation. It was a bit strange. It kind of came out afterwards. It's almost similar to the VAR checks that happen and the mistakes that the Premier League own up to and say, okay, we got that decision wrong. The NBA do something very similar. He went on to score 13 points in overtime. So those 71 points are the most in the NBA since Kobe Bryant had 81 back in January 2006. So he broke Cleveland's single game record of 57 that was held by LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Took the game to overtime. So an incredible achievement, but shouldn't have counted. So in terms of asterisks being across records, that's certainly one. The final place I want to go to for around the world, a little bit of a bonus one for you, to Dubai. Waterford FC heading to Dubai for a pre-season camp. You don't see this too often in the League of Ireland, but they're heading to the sunny shores of Dubai for a pre-season tour in January. This was announced yesterday. Looking for promotion for this upcoming season. Of course, they're still in the first division. And a trip to the stunning skyline of United Arab Emirates. So the 22nd to the 20th of January, Waterford set to play 2 games. One of them is against their sister club, Fleetwood Town. And we were talking about it before the show. The news of this partnership, John Walters coming on board as a technical director for both Waterford and Fleetwood, kind of came a couple of days before Christmas, snuck onto the radar a little bit, but it's a fairly exciting move. Scott Brown, of course, is the manager now of Fleetwood Town. Joey Barton no longer in situ there. But it's just something that struck me as something I wanted to mention this morning, because you don't often see it. You get it in GAA sometimes. You get the little All-Ireland trip away. Yeah. Some of the warmer climb warm-ups for the season potentially go under the radar.
All the La Manga trips, it doesn't happen anymore, but it used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're all about Portugal these days, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a little bit closer to home and perhaps cheaper. But yeah, a League of Ireland First Division team taking a trip to Dubai. Maybe this is the sign of the direction in which the League of Ireland is
Rising tide lifting all League of Ireland boats.
Exactly.
Right, that was your latest Around the World with Hannon.